Welcome back to Daily DeFi. Today is July 8th of 2021. We're seeing a bit of retracement in some of the top projects in the decentralized finance space. But as always, we kick things off with the total value locked in. It's a great metric to look at for decentralized finance to really keep your finger on the pulse of what's exactly going on with DeFi Pulse and then juicy NFTs. Then we have some very, very interesting articles and the altcoins that are actually outperforming the market today. So let's hop right into it. Total value locked in, $56.48 billion. Aave dominance has retraced quite a bit to 15.73%. DeFi Pulse Index still up from those lows that I was averaging in on. Again, you have to remember, this is an actual token. The DPI token is essentially an index on all these top projects, right? So if you're interested in decentralized finance, but you don't have enough time to speculate on one, it's an interesting option. Obviously, you have to do your own research, but just like you have, you have ETFs, you have different things that you can essentially index the stock market on that people do if they're not a full-time investor. You can do this as well with top DeFi tokens. So always keep that in mind. But I was pretty happy because it did drop down to that 240 level, and now we're back up to 310, right around 8.5%. Aave is down a bit today. It was just up to that $14 billion locked-in level. And some of these top three are kind of actually climbing back up. Maker, Instadap, Curve, all kind of climbing up. Moving on to juicy NFTs. This is, I think, the highest daily volume that I've seen in a long time for non-fungible tokens. That's very interesting, and nobody's talking about it in the market, right? So when everything was going great, typically we would see around like $2 million a day transacted. Then things retraced back down to like low six figures in the 24-hour volume. But I really like to keep track of juicy NFTs because you can see, okay, what caused the spike, right? So what's going on? CryptoPunks is always up there. ENS is always up there. Also keeping track, okay, what are the top projects? Seeing this as a long-term trend because a lot of people just, they saw the hype. They saw when it got all this media coverage, it was on SNL and all these different things. But now they kind of forgot about it, right? So you can see people's attention span. And as long as an investor, you can identify these things and you can go, okay, what's nobody thinking about, right? Because one of my favorite things, I can't remember where this came from, but it's so true. Everybody worries about all the wrong things. People are worried about, what am I going to get for groceries or what am I going to clean next? These are all maintenance things. I like to focus on progress. Progress is part of investing, right? So compound interest, all these different things, but don't be the person that's worried about all the wrong things. That's what I have to say about that. This next article is quite sad. This is one of those countries where actually my hometown in Iowa had a very strong connection with Hatti. So I'm, as kind of I've developed over the years, I've been much more interested in other markets. I haven't really studied Hatti as much. I know it's one of these very, very pioneer frontier markets, but sadly, the president was assassinated. Now, I don't know the whole political situation, so that's just the objective facts. He was assassinated, so Yovel Moise, and I apologize, I definitely probably said that wrong, was killed in his home by a group of attackers, said the country's prime minister, who described Hatti as being in a stage of siege. Moi's wife, Martine, was also shot in stable condition. So at least the wife's okay, but this is what happens, guys. And besides that, it's hard to even look at these other articles, but I will move on from that. So you can see reshuffling of India's cabinet. So I like Quartz. This is a paid service because it really just gives the objective news, right? What's going on instead of opinions. I don't like the opinions that's going on. If you go to CNN or Fox, I just like, okay, what is the facts of the situation? What's going on geopolitically? That's why I like Quartz, and that's kind of what I show you in this daily series. We will move on to two quick articles from Decrypt and Cointelegraph, then move on to some other altcoins here. But I do have to mention that Donald Trump is suing Facebook, basically all the top social media sites, right? Because he came out with his own site. It launched on July 4th. I can't remember the name. And maybe it's like Rumble. Let me know in the comments if you know what it's called. But I'm fascinated to watch what's going to go on because he really is trying to build his own network, right? Because you think about it, like he could build this up and sell the company. It would be worth a ton because there's a moat around it. There's a lot of these social media companies are definitely more liberal leaning, definitely more democratic leaning. Whether you like that or not, doesn't matter. That's just objectively true. You can see what's banned. You can see what's not banned. There really isn't this kind of like right wing, I guess you could say. And I'm not saying there should be, but I'm saying there should be free speech, right? Hey, these platforms should exist. Twitter's coming out with this blue sky platform that's much more open source and no banning things, right? So suing Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Anyways, Ethereum gas fees dropped to lowest rates since March of 2020. So that's pretty crazy. Let's see. So gas measured. I did a whole video on this, like how to lower fees with Uniswap. First, the cost of ETH, we know that, but I find this so interesting because so many people were complaining about this when it was that mass, right? Because so many people are trying to buy it, but now it's like nobody's buying, right? So all these same people that were, watching all these videos on YouTube and now they're out of the market, right? You ask these people where it's like they got so hyped up, and now I'm at least interested in, I think we could see lower lows, but long term, anything that I purchase now, the gas fees aren't that bad. So interesting opportunity as far as that goes. Moving on, so SEC closes on the settlements with BitConnect. You guys know this guy, that BitConnect guy. He like yelled on stage, hilarious thing. I know like Trayvon James was involved with it, all these people that were kind of hyping it up, but the main thing that I look at with a project like this is they were promising so many things and they were locking your token in. So for me, I like liquidity. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of sunk cost in real estate. Like I do think there's opportunity for like tokenized real estate, but I like to be agile. I travel around. This is actually my last day in Armenia. Didn't get to spend a lot of time here, but I definitely will come back and probably spend about a month here, which is what I normally do. But again, for me, it's all about being agile. Like heading to Ukraine, I literally was able to book the flight yesterday. Like I'm leaving tomorrow morning. You're not able to do that when you have all these sunk costs, right? And there's obviously sunk economic costs, and then there's also like sunk time costs, right? So if you have family, if you have kids, and those things are all great, right? But you have to look at this as from the perspective of, okay, if you're not able to be agile, if you're not able to be quick, and you have things locked in for time, right? So with something like Hex that Richard Hart was promoting, still is promoting, he was on one of the largest crypto channels the other day, which was fascinating to hear him talk about, because he's creating this whole pulse chain thing. Anyways, another video for that. I'm getting a little sidetracked, but the whole thing is these projects I'm always a little skeptical of. Okay, I'd like to be able to withdraw my money and test these things out very quickly, right? So, for example, I've set up a couple bank accounts since I've been here in Armenia, and I'll probably do a video contrasting Armenia versus Georgia offshore banking. And the biggest thing for me is I'm not interested in a bank where they're like, you have to have this much dram. In this case, that's the Armenian currency. You have to have this much of the local currency locked in, right? Because at any point in time, you can have currency. It's very volatile. Same with something like BitConnect. You saw what happened, right? This guy, I think it's like Carlos or whatever, promoted the crap out of it. And people got away with a lot of money. And the SEC basically closed on this. So it's one of these things where historically it'll go down just like Mt. Gox, right? It's one of these things, looking back on, I think, 10 years from now with the crypto industry, it'll be quite interesting to see. So next, top DeFi tokens. I was really looking at the ones that are the kind of outliers. So Bake Token is, again, be very, very careful with Bake Token. Any of these food-based tokens, right? So you have to do your own research. I have not done a deep dive video on it. I personally do not hold it. But I do like to look at, okay, what are the outliers in the market, right? So the majority of this market's correlated, right? So you see all these charts looking very, very similar, and then you see what's popping off. For example, Haven Protocol is doing ridiculously well. But let's start off here with iExec RLC, and then we'll move forward. So RLC, $3.35, up about 15% on the daily. Again, everything else is down a bit. Had that massive run up. I did a deep dive video on iExec. I actually like what they're doing. You can go check that out. Let me see here. Let me know in the comments if you like this project, by the way. But you saw this little pop-up. Still hasn't gone up a ton, but I think it could retrace a little bit further. Like I said, around $250 million market cap, volume $115 million. Next, Haven Protocol XHV, $5.29, up 70%. Isn't that crazy? But again, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, okay, we basically just retraced back to these levels. Or sorry, not retrace, but return back to these levels right up here. And we might get rejected down, because you can see this kind of that support line, or sorry, this is a bit of a support line, but also that we got rejected right up here. So you have resistance here. Obviously, resistance turns into new support, which we kind of found out right in these levels when we were at $7. But if we touch back up to those levels, definitely look at some key resistance levels. That's what I would be looking at. I would not be looking at, hey, this thing's going to go to the moon. I always look at technical analysis and combine that with your fundamentals. So then Bakery Token Bake, ranked number 97 on about 209,000 watch as well. So $2.34, up about 10.5% on the daily. Guys, you have to remember, with this Daily DeFi series, when I talk about the top gaining altcoins, I'm not saying buy these things. It's almost the inverse, right? I'm just saying be aware of what's going on in the market. This whole series is to kind of help you, like I said, keep your finger on the pulse of the decentralized finance market, because these are things that I personally track every day, and I'm always interested. I never buy things when they're up 70%, right? You always look at, okay, what's cheap, what's expensive. I like to buy cheap, sell expensive. So, for example, XHV, I did hold a little bit, and I am selling a little bit today because it's up 70%, right? So, I do not hold Bakery Token just because it's up 10% is not a good sign to buy, right? These are not signs to buy. This is just looking at the objective data. This one up 10% on the daily when everything else is down, okay? So you have to understand that with this series. I hope you guys get that at this point. By the way, if you want to have a conversation about an individual coin, you can always let me know in the comments or join the Telegram group. Telegram group is a little bit better for long form conversations where we can go back and forth. I personally will answer questions. There's a whole community there that'll answer questions. But the YouTube comments, sometimes they get deleted, especially recently my comments have been deleted, like my replies to people. Like I'll send thoughtful replies, like long replies, and they're just deleted. So that's why I'm kind of more recommending the Telegram channel at this point. But anyways, Bakery token retraced off of these highs around $77. Now it's sitting right around $2.34. Okay, so that is all for today's Daily DeFi episode. If you enjoyed it, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Again, join the Telegram group, follow us on Twitter at investglobal_IO, like the video, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date, hit the notification bell and click all. That's all for this one. So like, subscribe, button all, Invest Global, and until next time.